we just had good times dancing together. So Frankie Manning, one of my favorite people who I've ever known, who walked the earth. He's super, super awesome. Frankie was one of the nicest, most giving people I've ever met in any walk of life at all. There was one time when we were in a car we were at a gig together, and the promoter was driving us around, and inadvertently, I know it wasn't meant at all, but the promoter said something really racist. And I'm in the back seat of the car, Frankie's in the front seat of the car, and I'm like, what, And I just froze, and Frankie took a deep breath and looked out the window of the car, and then continued on and asked another question. He just let it roll over. And later on, I asked him about it. I said, well, what was that about? And he said, well, I had to take a moment and realized that it wasn't meant in a bad light. The man was completely ignorant about what he was saying, and there was no need to embarrass him. It wasn't a learning moment, so we just move on. He said if it had been a learning moment, I would have done something about it, but it was just move on. So Frankie really helped teach me about how to decide whether something was really important to address or whether some things can just be left go. It made the whole rest of the day pleasant because the man wasn't embarrassed. If Frankie had called him out on that, he would have been embarrassed, and the rest of the whole afternoon would have been an odd thing. So I saw Frankie do this many, many times. Suck up some kind of affront, not necessarily a racial affront, but something that most of the rest of us would have said, excuse me about, and Frankie just kind of let it roll off him, and in doing so, saved the whole rest of the day or the whole rest of the event. And that really is the lesson I think we should all learn, that sometimes it's not that we need to be passive, because Frankie definitely was not passive, but he was better than a lot of the petty things that bother us. On Frankie100, what I'm hoping happens is that all these people who have been influenced by Frankie and been influenced by Lindy Hop and love this dance and love this form of communication between people will come together, will share stories, will share enthusiasm, and to honor the man who was instrumental in sort of starting all this stuff, or being one of the instruments of starting this, and definitely an instrument in the revival of it. We need to kind of keep Frankie's vision of Lindy Hop moving ahead and not let it deteriorate into a dance that is codified and has too many particular rules. Frankie's version of dancing was this feeling and having a joy hooking into the music and hooking into your partner, much more so than I'm doing this in a correct sort of way and I'm trying to impress somebody sitting in a chair across the room. It was the joy of you and your partner in the music, and I think that that's something that all of the communities can hopefully refocus on and think about taking back to their home communities. That ultimately Frankie taught me immense amounts about Lindy Hop and the love of this dance, but he really taught me much more about how to live my life with grace and with humor and with a lot of love.